So when thinking about our well-being, it's important to think about the context that we're living in. For each of us, the context that we're living in has what we think of as different spheres, different levels of influence. So the first level of influence for most of us is our family and our work. So these are the people that we interact with most days or very often. Our family and our work can greatly contribute to our sense of well-being. We may come from very loving, supportive families. Our work may give us a lot of meaning. We find great joy in our work. And our families and our work can really limit our well-being, right? So some people come from very violent families where they feel criticized or misunderstood for their activism, for what they choose to do. Within our work, we may face competition. There may be conflict at work. We may be overworked, right? So our families and our work can contribute to our well-being, and they can also greatly limit our well-being. The level of influence outside of our family and our work are our communities and our movements, right? So these are groups, communities that we interact with regularly. Again, these can really contribute to our sense of well-being, or they can really limit our well-being. Again, we may feel part of an active, vibrant, supportive community. Our movements may be our social families, where we're doing the work that we love, or our communities and our movements can be places of conflict, of judgment, where they limit our well-being. So then our family, our work, our movements, our communities are impacted by the larger sphere of influence of our societies, right? So the governments, the militaries that are ruling us, the conflict and war that so many people are facing, the coup in Burma, COVID, which has ravaged the world for several years now, the environment, the media. So this third level of societal influences deeply impacts our sense of security, our freedoms, our physical health, and our overall mental, emotional, and physical well-being. When we think about these different levels of influence, there's two important concepts to keep in mind. So one is our socialization. Socialization means all of the messages, all of the teachings that we're given directly and indirectly on how to be in our society. And so these are the messages we get from our families, from our communities, from our movements, from our schools, from our religious places, from the media. All of the systems, the institutions that govern our lives give us messages from the moment that we're born about how we are supposed to be. That's our socialization. And then our internalization is how we take in that socialization, how that affects our feelings about ourselves, our thoughts about ourselves, and our thoughts about our place in the world. Two aspects of our socialization that we feel it's really important to highlight. One is our gender socialization. For women, women are taught that our place, our role, our duty is to take care of other people. And to take care of other people before ourselves, even if it's at our own expense. That it's our role as mothers, as wives, as daughters, as sisters, and even as leaders of organizations. In every aspect, our job, our role is to take care of other people. And that our happiness and our identity is wrapped up in that taking care of other people. This socialization then leads many women to feeling very selfish, very guilty if we start thinking about ourselves, or if we even think about the idea of taking some time for ourselves. It triggers these feelings of guilt, of selfishness, because we've been so deeply socialized that our role is to be the caregiver, to take care of other people, and to put their needs before our own. For men, the socialization around being strong and brave and rational sends men the message that we're not supposed to have feelings, not supposed to have emotions, and not need to share those feelings and emotions. And if men need to share, then men are weak. This gender socialization can deeply impact our feelings about ourselves and our approach, our relationship to well-being. for many people makes it feel like something that's selfish, that's self-indulgent, and that other people may need, but I shouldn't need. For activists, we also want to look at the socialization within our activist communities. In most movements that I've been part of, there is a strong socialization around activism being about sacrifice. And that if I'm not working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm not working enough. And even if I'm working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm not doing enough. And it will never be enough. There's also a strong socialization. Usually it's not talked about directly, right? But there's also often a sense of competition or a sense of who is doing more, right, within many of our activist communities. And that socialization can lead to a deep internalization that we're not doing enough, that what we're doing is not good enough. And that can then lead to feelings of, I'm not enough. I am not worthy of taking time for myself, of thinking about my own well-being. So these two aspects of our socialization, right, around our gender and around what it means to be an activist, deeply influence how we think about ourselves, how we think about our well-being. And these have to be challenged within our communities. We have to challenge them within ourselves. If we feel those feelings of selfishness or of guilt or of a lack of worth coming up in ourselves, we want to challenge, where does that come from? It's not about my personal weakness. They are structural, societal issues that we have been socialized to believe that we need to unlearn in order to be able to prioritize our well-being and the well-being of our communities and our movements.